Last week I worked on that Sony BDPS350 that I found at the side of the road, and that got me thinking because I have one. And the one I've got's also got a problem. It hasn't worked for a while. It won't read the majority of discs. So I got thinking maybe it's got the same problem as the other one, which it kind of does and it kind of doesn't, because this one's got way more hours on it than the other one. Let's take this one apart and tear apart the laser and see what's wrong. Do you guys remember this? I just worked on it the other day. That's that ugly Blu-ray player I found at the recycling place. And it's replaced the one that was identical to it, which is now right here. This is the one that I've been using for the last number of years for playing my test footage that I use when I'm testing TVs and stuff, because I have the HDMI out that I can plug into a television for testing. And that's basically what I use it for. And that's what I use this one here for all those years. But this one here apparently now has a problem too. In fact, it's got exactly the same problem as the other one. It won't read any discs. If I plug it in, we'll power it up and see whether it'll read anything. I don't think it will, because that's why I took it out of service. It's broken, and I'm curious as to whether the fault with this one is the same as it was with the other one. In other words, a laser that needs to be tweaked. Let's see what happens when I put a disc in this one. We'll try different types of discs and see if it'll play anything. So here I have a couple of discs. We'll try an audio CD first, see what it does. Sorry, Charlie, cannot operate this disc. Let's try a DVD. It's actually going to read it. I don't believe it. It's going to read this disc. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And this time, believe it or not, it's going to read it. But that's okay, that's good. Let's try a Blu-ray disc. So I will try a stamped Casino Royale James Bond movie, and we'll see whether it's going to read this disc. I get the sneaking suspicion it's not going to read it. Cannot operate this disc. We'll try another Blu-ray disc, just to make sure it wasn't just a one-off and it wouldn't read that disc. This time I will try that disc, and then finally I will try that disc. Cannot operate this disc. So it's not playing those discs. How about a BD-R? And I'll even give it one more crack at a single layer. Cannot operate this disc. I'll give it a crack at a single layer. But I'm sure the end result is going to be the same. It's going to say, sorry Charlie, can't read the disc. Oh, it's going to read it. Well, you know, so it's going to read DVDs this time, but it's not reading Blu-ray, and it's not reading CD. Again, this machine's got tons and tons of hours. Let's rip it apart and see whether it can be made to work. Since you guys already saw the disassembly of the other one, I'm going to leave a lot of that out. Certainly not going to spend the amount of time I spent on the other one, but it would be nice to get this one running as well and see if we're seeing a pattern with the same problems happening on multiple units, because it is the same model. It's BDPS350, the same as the other one. And again, this one's got tons and tons of hours. This one was given to me years ago, and it's been abused, let's just say. Badly abused, because it was running pretty much constantly. I just leave it plugged in and turned on and leave a disc in it that's on auto repeat, and it just plays the disc over and over and over again. Although it's the red laser, it wasn't a Blu-ray disc that was playing. It was a AVC HD disc that was playing on it. So you would think if a laser was going to be worn out, it would be the red one. But the red one seems to be working fine. Just the blue laser and the infrared is not reading. Having opened one of these up before, I now know what needs to come off. Got to pull the front display off and unplug it, and take off this front bracket, and then I can pull the drive out. It's actually quite easy once you've done one. The last one I took apart was the first one. I will say that the build quality on this unit is quite nice, right? It's compared to you know, a lot of the new stuff. This is really well built. It's pretty clean in here. Looks a lot cleaner than the other one, that's for sure. Yeah, we'll power it up and see what it does. I'll notch this again like I did with the other one so that I can get at that screw, and of course we'll mark them to see whether I have to adjust them. Now that I saw what I had to do on the other one, this one here I'd be much more likely to just ever so slightly turn it, like an eighth of a turn, whereas the other one I went quite a ways either way, and it took me a while to get to the sweet spot. There we go. The thing I learned about it is I don't have to really put all these, I don't have to put it back into the chassis. The cabling is long enough that I can plug it in and just set it on top. When I started on the other one, I was connecting everything up and unplugging it every time, and of course I figured out once I had worked on it for a bit that I don't really need to do that. I can just lengthen these cables a bit so that they're long enough that I can flip the unit over to work on it. So that saves a bit of time. Okay. It says load. Unknown disk. Cannot operate this disk. So what if I just... Is the blue laser even coming on, I wonder? Let's just take a peek. Yeah, the blue laser's there. You can see it. But I don't want to start. Okay, this time it's not reading the red laser either, which is what it was doing yesterday. The fact that it read a disc twice, oh, this time it's going to catch it. Last time it didn't catch it. So I have a sneaking suspicion if I just if I just adjust those screws a little bit, it might help. Oh, so what is this? Is there dirt on this? Could be dirt on the I have a feeling it is probably just the height that's out on this as well. So we'll flip it over, and we're going to go just a little bit, maybe an eighth of a turn for each one. See how fast I can get this one to work, if this will do it. We'll try the red laser first. Okay, there's going to read. And there it is, it's reading the disc. Got the copyright anti-piracy logo up now. So you can see, it is indeed reading that disc. We'll try the Blu-ray disc next. Let's see whether it will read Casino Royale. Still refusing this disc. And it's trying to go to the red laser. So it's got to be a focusing issue. I don't know if you guys can see it or not with all the light on in here, but you'll watch, you'll see the red laser. Can you see it? Right here? The red laser's right where my finger is. So it's detecting, because the blue laser comes on first. It looks to try to focus, and then if it doesn't focus, then it thinks it's a DVD and it goes to the red laser. So I'll bring it down a little more. I'll do it a half of a turn. And see whether that will fix it. Nope. Now it says no disk. It doesn't just say cannot operate this disk. Okay, so I pushed down on the disk, which brought the disk closer. So maybe we got to go up. Go, instead of going counterclockwise half a turn, maybe clockwise a little bit, because now it looks like it's going to read the disc. And it is. You can hear it playing now. So let's just try. Let's just try going the other way. Because effectively what I did is I pushed down the disc, which would bring the laser closer. By going counterclockwise, I've raised or increased the distance. So let's go back to the home starting position, and this time we'll go about 1/8 of a turn in on both from the home starting position. This will bring the laser a little bit closer. Nope, still not wanting to start. At one turn for both, it's now reading a music CD. And it will also read a red laser. I'll try the movie that doesn't have any fancy promos and stuff. It just goes right into the movie. which is how all movies should be. Just go right into the movie. None of this 10 minutes of promos. This one's actually a dual-sided disc. Some of you may or may not be aware of these ones, but in the early days of DVDs, you got the widescreen version on one side, and you got the pan and scan version on the other. So it's playing a DVD now properly, and it's playing a CD properly. Let's see if we can get it to play a Blu-ray disc. And it's still not happy with the Blu-ray. It says unknown disc, but we're close. I just lifted the bottom cover off the laser here so we can take a look at what goes on inside this laser, because there's actually a little servo motor inside here that you can hear it. And what this little servo motor does is it moves this little aperture back and forth. There's another little lens here that focuses. Moves a little aperture lens back and forth there. I wonder if that's dirty. Let's just try wiping it off with a dry Q-tip. See, that's probably the blue laser, and the other laser is over here, the red laser. It doesn't adjust this one. This lens is fixed. Put this cover back on here. It's held in place with a little screw. Hasn't turned on yet. Okay, now it's turning on. How cool is this? The laser's on and we can see it moving. Can we see it on camera? I got the bottom cover off the lens here. You guys see it on camera or not? I think this ribbon is in the way. If I can tilt this enough. Oops. Uh-oh. I think I might have just shorted something out here and blew this up. The circuit board just fell up against the front of it here, and I may have just smoked something on the display. Can you see the laser coming on? The player's on, my front display doesn't work anymore. I screwed that up. We have to fix that if I can get this thing to play. Okay, it's spinning. The disc is spinning now. It says cannot operate this disc, but it's trying to read. can see the lens moving back and forth. I wonder what happens if I just pull this a little more further this way. Okay, now it's not reading it at all. I just push the lens a little bit back, like that. Drop my disc clamp. Now, I should point out that this unit has never really read Blu-ray. When it was given to me, it only really was reading AVC HD and DVD. So I've never used it for Blu-ray. I've only used it for playing that AVC HD disc, and that's why it was sitting here in the shop. That come up with the message that it can't read the disc, but it's certainly trying. I did get it to read a couple times, but again, it would read it once, and I took the disc out and put it back in, and it wouldn't read it again. That's probably why this was thrown out in the first place. And for that matter, it may have come from a smoking home. So there could be contamination that gets down into the lens itself and clouds the lenses, which is what I think probably is what's wrong with the Blu-ray portion, is that the blue lens is contaminated, or one of the mirrors inside the optical block is contaminated. And the smoke would affect the shorter wavelength of the blue light before the red. Here's with the red laser reading a DVD. And it is playing with the laser apart. You can see the optics here. Cool, huh? Get a close-up of that. So basically the laser is here. It shines into this semi-transparent mirror which reflects the light up into the lens. There's another mirror down here, and then the refracted light comes back and it shines through the mirror and hits the detector, which is over here. And that's used for both CD and DVD. A DVD drive would just have this laser in it. Blu-ray is not working properly yet. I'm working on that. It's a work in progress. It's a laser problem on this one, as opposed to an alignment problem, I think. there's the red laser working. I'll try a CD next. I'll just stop this from spinning. I'll put a regular CD in and just see if it'll play a regular CD. Okay, yeah, the infrared is trying. See? Red and infrared. So it's not liking the infrared for some reason. Clean that mirror off a bit. Probably put more dirt into it than I cleaned. Okay. It spun up. It plays. That's me stopping it. But there's the infrared laser. We can only see it when we're in night shot. Neat, huh? Lighting that thing up bright as day. If I turn off the night shot, it looks like there's nothing there because you can't see it. Infrared. So the infrared's working. The red laser's working. All we gotta do is get the blue laser working. Let's see what happens when I load a DVD. So the infrared laser's on, and then it goes back. So that's how it works. It actually turns the red laser on, then the infrared, and then it goes back to the red, as you can see. So it detects with the blue to see if there's a disc in it. Then it goes to red, then infrared, then back to red. And then it starts playing. So that's part's working. We just gotta get the blue side of things working now. And the blue laser spins up. The disc is spinning. Is it gonna read? It's trying. It's trying real hard. Maybe some contamination of that lens inside there. That's the blue laser lens that it shines the blue laser through it, and that mirror down there might be a little bit contaminated. It's certainly not focusing, that's for sure. It even could be this lens back here for that matter. There's another one over here. I'm not going to touch the alignment of it, obviously, because you'll never ever get this thing back in a million years. But could be just a little bit of debris on that, like a little bit. It could even just be clouded from years, right? If sitting over here, it's been out in the cold and the hot. Particular unit I used to just run an ABC HD disc on it. I wasn't running a Blu-ray disc on this when I was using it as my test machine, so it really, I don't know even if the blue ever did work, because ever since I have had this unit, I've only used it to run a red laser. When I shine a flashlight down through the lens and look at what's coming through the lens here on this other side, it sure looks to me like there's a film on it. You know, if you can see it on the camera or not, but if you look down through the lens here, it certainly looks like there's a film on the surface. It would certainly explain why it's not focusing properly. It's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it'll read and sometimes it won't. I gave the mirror a little bit of a buff with my Q-tip, and we'll reassemble the unit and see whether it's going to read anything. Okay, so this one's playing now. I've got it playing all the different disc types. This unit has got a lot of hours on it. I took a snapshot here of the diagnostic screen when I had it up. Where is it here? Here it is. Can we see? This unit here, if we look at my diagnostic screen, can we read it? 842 hours on the Blu-ray laser, 9,023 hours and 53 minutes on the DVD laser, 19 minutes on the CD laser. That gives you an idea of how much use this has had over the years. It's playing. I'm just going to use it here in the shop again, like the other one that's below it. It's the one I just fixed the other day. Now I've got two of these units at work, and I'm just going to use it in here to play stuff like this when I'm testing TVs and so forth. Unfortunately, I did kind of mess up. I'm not even going to bother fixing the display. When I was working on it, the back of the board touched against the chassis, and I saw a little cloud of smoke, magic smoke, come out, and I buggered up the display. But again, this machine here is just going to be a single purpose machine. It's going to sit here in the shop. Well, probably put it in place of the other one. This has got way more hours on it than the other one that I fixed the other day, so I'll probably put this one back in service where it was and just use it for playing. Basically, this disc that I'm running now, this is the disc that I use as a test disc because it's just got scenery and stuff if I need to test a TV. Although I got to be careful because some of these videos on here, Lounge V has made a claim if I've shown them for more than a few seconds. So even though it came off the internet, and it was content that they put up saying you're welcome to use this in your store to demonstrate TVs, and you're welcome to use this in your doctor's or your dentist's office or for anything else you want, and you don't have to pay us for anything. But then they changed the rules and decided that if you reposted it on social media, that you got to pay them for it, and if you don't, then they take your revenue. So you gotta be careful with some of these shots. Anyway, I'll throw this one back together. It's working as well as it's going to work. I'm not going to spend any more time on it because it's just an old player I got for free. Now I got two of them, and it's doing what it's supposed to. I've got it playing about as well as it's going to play. I still have to load it 2 or 3 times when I'm put a Blu-ray disc in for it to read, but once it reads, it seems to be okay. Once again, there it is playing a DVD. The other disc that I was playing was a Blu-ray, was a BDR, and this is a DVD. Since we talked about service mode, I figured I would show you how to get into service mode on one of these machines, and it's a little easier if the display is working, because you got to look at the display. You got to hold down the play, the stop, and the open-close button simultaneously, starting with the stop, because if you hold down the play, with the machine turned off, of course. Just hold on the stop, play, and open button, and then press the power button on the remote control. It'll say welcome on the display, and you hold it until it says, I think it says service, or yeah, service. And once you release once the word service shows up, which is about 8 seconds, then you get into the service menu. And we can play around with the service menu and see what we can do in the service menu. So there's only a few things we can do in here: diagnostics, log, factory service, network, update the version, and system info. And if we scroll through the list here, whoops, device test. Okay, so we're going to diagnostics. It'll check the USB host if there's a USB drive, which there's not. That's for reading, storing Blu-ray info. You could plug a USB stick in, and it'll tell you that there is no USB, but register read check is okay. And we'll go back to the next one. Log, this just shows you error logs and command logs. Not that it means anything to you, but or to me, but there's a bunch of codes. This is probably error codes when this machine was not reading correctly until I got it to read. These codes would indicate something that could be looked up as to why it wasn't reading. And command log, again, unless you know, well, it tells you here's what functions are being done, and I guess that's the date 08/02/2019. Is that, no? Wait a minute, doesn't look right. Maybe I was thinking that was a time. I was thinking maybe that was a date and a time. I guess, yeah, 2008. Yeah, that would be 2008, February 19th, March 10th. Yeah, so we can look at the log and see how this thing was used. Interesting. And it tells you open, close, open, close, open, close, execute, pause, open, close. 65 pages of the history of this machine. Power, DVD menu, DVD next. Cool. Replay. So you can go through the entire history of this machine over the years. Interesting. This is the one I found at the dumpster. This is not mine. But this one, well, it's mine now. This is the one I fixed, but this is the one I found at the dumpster. So presumably that clock will jump ahead. Looks like it was used a lot in '08. If that's a date. Oh, someone pressed the yellow button. Red to a red, green, blue, yellow, back, display. These would probably be the ones that I was testing it, turning it off and on, open, close, open, close. Yeah, anyway. Who knows? The date all seems to be the same, so maybe that's not a date. I thought maybe it was a date because the machine was built in '08. Get back here. Don't want to factory initialize it. Not updating the version. System info. This will tell me the same as I showed you off the other one. It's having a moment here. Okay, so this one's had 138 hours on the Blu-ray laser, 1,028 hours on the DVD laser. See, LD time, laser diode, and only 3 minutes on the CD portion. By comparison, the other one, if we remember that, it had 9,000 hours. 842 on the Blu-ray, 9,000 hours. That's the other player I just was working on. So it's had a lot more use than this one for sure. Anyway, I just figured I would throw that in there at the end of this one and see how many of you guys are sticking around to watch me playing around with the menu. The other one I've thrown back together and it'll just be a spare because this one here, I'll give this one some use in here. The reason the other one has so many hours on the DVD laser is because I used to leave the disc, the AVC HD disc. I just let it on, put it on here, put it on replay, and just let it play. If I put a Blu-ray in, it'll play once and then stop, and then wait for me to press play again. If I put a AVC HD disc in, just the way it's authored, it just replays over and over, so it can auto repeat. So that would be why the Blu-ray laser has many less hours, or I should say the DVD laser on the other player has 9,000 hours, is because I would put the disc in and let it play, and I'd forget it was on, and it would be running for days and days until I came back out into the shop and, oh, the DVD player's on, and I shut it off. That would be why it has so many hours. But as you can see, 9,000 hours and it's still working. So I guess that's not too bad considering the age of the machine. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.